Good evening. Thank you for joining us this September 27th for our regular session. We'll call this meeting to order. We're going to have the invocation given by Councilmember Martinez and then the pledge to the flag. So if you could please stand.
Father God, I come before you this evening as a member of the elected body for the city of Hagerstown. Let your supernatural wisdom saturate the atmosphere as we commit this meeting to you. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path that's best for the constituents of Hagerstown. Help us be righteous and just. Let your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will be following the rules of procedure that were effective December 15th of 2020. Please make sure that your cell phones are muted. Any correspondence for distribution to elected officials should be provided to the city clerk and should include a copy for the official record. Our meeting schedule for October will be October 4th and 18th, a work session at 4 p.m., no meeting October 11th, and a regular session at 7 p.m. on October 25th. And we do have some appointments today to the Hagerstown Youth Council Partner Group, so if I could get a motion for that, please.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the following individuals for the Hagerstown Youth Council Partner Group: Lindsay Carlin, Jessica Miller, Tressa Nicewarner, and Stephen Schutte.
Second.
Seconded by Bob. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then I'm going to have you guys come up and get sworn in. So the first person on the list, Lindsay Carlin, if you can meet me up here.
You got this. I believe in you.
All right, so
When you got a
we're
cheat
bringing
sheet.
all of you guys up. So if
we're
Jessica
taking bets
Miller,
about
Tressa, and Stephen could come forward.
Thank you.
Before I swear them in, is there anything that you would like to say?
Super excited for you guys to be a part of the group and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'll go over here. All right, so if you guys could raise your right hands, and I'm gonna say I, say your name, do swear. So you say that and then repeat after me. Got it? All right. I state your name, do swear.
Do swear
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland.
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
And support the Constitution and laws thereof.
and support the Constitution and laws thereof
And the charter and ordinances of the city of Hagerstown.
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Hagerstown.
And that I will,
And that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of the Hagerstown Youth Council Partner Group.
execute the office of the youth council.
Good job, sir. Good job, Schutte. Good job, Schutte.
According to the Constitution and laws of the state.
According to the Constitution and laws of the state.
Yay, congratulations. Thank you. So if you could all sign this book beside your names.
There's some questions there.
Thank you.
You spelled the name.
Really?
Thank you for doing this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
What do you do? Yeah, you have one. That's right. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you guys all for coming and for volunteering. This is awesome. This is a really good thing for our kids, and we appreciate it.
Picture.
Picture, picture, picture.
Y'all know he comes running in Maryland better.
You can selfie. I'll go to the side. Up on the step.
They say we move the whole center of the group. Yeah. Okay, and good smiles, and 1, 2, 3. One more good smile, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Got your back.
Oh.
So key.
You didn't have to ask Emily if she
Why
didn't
not?
want herself. Believe me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have citizen comments. We didn't have any emailed citizen comments. First on the list, we have Michael Todd. So if you could come up and state your name and address, and then you have 5 minutes.
My name is Michael Todd. I reside at 519 Grant Place, Frederick, Maryland. I have a business in Hagerstown at 135 East Franklin Street. On the 24th, I believe, of August, the board and council made a grave error by approving a one-way alley on the alley between Mulberry and Locust Street. The reasons they cited were damage to buildings where the alley enters onto Locust Street. The problem is those damages were caused from vehicles leaving the alley, not coming into the alley, because the alley is too tight down there. You cannot get box trucks down there. You cannot get rollbacks down there. You can't get trailers of any kind, like boat trailers or yard trailers, or or anything. There are 7 businesses on that stretch of alley that have access in buildings on that alley. We cannot get our vehicles in there based on making it a one-way alley. There are only three houses on Franklin Street that have direct access to the alley, either through their driveway or through a garage. There's only one building on Washington that has access to the alley. So there are only 4 people possible. Now, all these businesses on the alley, none of us got notification of this meeting. Now, when the city about 7 or 8 years ago decided to convert part of the alley in the parking lot next to the deli to convert that to a restaurant area, we had several town meetings, with the city planner and the different people who would be affected. And this process took 4 or 5 months. In that time, there's still never been a sign put up telling people not to take a zigzag turn out of the city parking lot into the alley. Within 1 week after you all passed the ordinance, there were signs all over the place telling it was a one-way alley. Now, I think you all screwed up because you didn't get proper notification, you didn't get proper input. Now, I've been on that alley for 39 years. I know what goes on in that alley. I know how much traffic is on it. I know what trucks have to get in and out of there. And right now, I can't obey the law because I can't get a vehicle in there to deliver me products and have him go back out. He has to turn around and go down the wrong way on the alley. So I want the board to realize they made a mistake and rescind that vote from last month. It's the only fair and equitable way because you're going to cost us money but you can't service our clients. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have Court Schmidt. Court, if you could just state your name and address, then you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Fort Schmidt, 12827 Fountainhead Road. I'm here with Schmidt Distillery and Maryland Watchworks. We just wanted to come and say thank you for the grant for the watches and whiskey and give you an update on that. It was a phenomenal event. August 6th and 7th, we had people come from Richmond, Virginia, northern New Jersey, Indiana. We even had a watch brand come from Hawaii. So they came to Hagerstown for 2 days, spent nights in hotels, bought a lot of whiskey, bought some watches. We actually, at the distillery, had our best Sunday ever from people coming in. We sold 30 bottles of whiskey on that day alone. So that was exciting. We had 6 watch brands, 6 distillery brands, Maryland distilleries come to Hagerstown, and most of them already want to come back for next year, which we've got scheduled for July 22nd, 23rd for next year. And CVB is extremely excited about the event, and they've significantly increased their contribution to the event and are helping sponsor and getting more people to the event. So just wanted to say thank you and give you an update.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's great to hear. Up next, we have Dr. Harold Wills. If you could come state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
I have some handouts. To whom should I give them? There are only 5 copies, so make sure that you all share, particularly Mr. Brucci. My name is Dr. Harold Edward Wills, and when you get these papers, you will see that the front page is one of the many proposed pictures of a proposed stadium. According to Senate Bill 926, is the Maryland Stadium Authority's Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility. Now, the X on that picture is where my home is. It was built in 1877, and it is my home and has been for 77 years. I have been told, no matter what the aspect of the architectural drawing, that is definitely going to be left field, and I'm going to have a gigantic wall facing me. Now, the next thing. This is a copy of Senate Bill 926. Economic Development, Maryland Stadium Authority, Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility. For the purpose of authorizing the Maryland Stadium Authority to review certain matters and make certain recommendations relating to the Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility. Now, on page 9, which you have a copy of, it says, Section D, for fiscal year 2023 and each fiscal year thereafter until the bonds that have been issued to finance the Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility are no longer outstanding and unpaid, and then you will see crossed out the part the controller shall deposit into the Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility Fund an amount not greater than $3,750,000 sufficient to finance the project and the project's debt servicing costs from the state lottery fund under whatever the statute is of the state government article. Whatever, it has been crossed out, as you notice. And then underlined it says, Governor shall include in the annual budget bill an appropriation of $3,750,000 to the Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility Fund. Therefore, the taxpayers of the state of Maryland will be paying for that facility. Now, for the vilification, there is a neighborhood group called Nextdoor.com. There was a horrible event in downtown Hagerstown on the square. A woman was cited or arrested for some sort of a citation, and her son, who was evidently mentally challenged, was removed. And the young boy was standing there, left completely abandoned. He was immediately emotional and overcome, and people on this forum responded about how horrible the police department was. Now, I put my input in, and you'll see this on the 3rd page. Harold Wills, to which agency should we now blame? Bob Brucci, which is why you are no longer the mayor of this town, Mr. Brucci. Harold Wills, I'll have to run again for mayor in 2024 instead of council. I mean, if you want to become an a-hole, I'll just fill folks in on the real reason you blame HPD for all your problems, We could go that route if you'd like. Have the kind of day you deserve. My response, Mr. Brucci, okay, name
Excuse
caller, what are the real reasons I blame the HPD for everything?
Excuse me,
And-
sir. Citizen comments are not a time to come up here and attack a council member, especially by name. I don't find it appropriate.
What was appropriate for him to attack me?
Have you reached out to him? That was in a private forum. I don't think a citizen council comment section is a time to come up here and attack an individual.
I'm not attacking anyone, I'm reading from a paper. If it was good enough for him to type to one of his constituents, then why is it not good enough to read here?
I just don't think it's appropriate.
Why
It
not,
actually
ma'am?
it actually states in our code that you're not to come up here and attack someone by name or an individual.
No, we're not dealing with semantics here, man. We're talking about facts.
Okay.
If it's good enough for this man to attack me, one of his constituents, and say that he's going to tell the real reason that I'm against the Hagerstown Police Department when I have stood right here many times and stated, as this gentleman did, what is going on is wrong in this city, and I have blamed the people who have the responsibility, the Hagerstown Police Department. But that can't be, the Hagerstown City and Mayor Council can't deal with facts.
No, we can deal with facts. I just don't think this is the appropriate forum for you to have that conversation with him.
This is not a conversation. Ma'am, I understand exactly where you're coming from. My last fact, and then I'll leave. This Hagerstown city is an abysmal mess. Why? Because people like you, little loopholes, people like him, who think they can say anything they want to, anytime they want to, and get away with it. Now, my last statement
Have a
is
nice
from
evening.
the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 8, verse 36. And what shall I profit if I gain the whole world and suffer the loss of my soul? Good evening.
Have a good evening.
Peace and blessings. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name. There's no one else signed up to speak tonight. Is there anyone else who would like to to speak? All right.
That's okay. You could have let him go.
I know, it's not appropriate. If I could get an approval of the minutes, please. Can
We're just regaining our composure over here.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of the minutes as presented for the mayor and council meetings held on August 2nd, 2022, August 9th, 2022, August 16th, 2022, and August 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, hereby move that all the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of an ordinance authorizing the sale of property located at 11850 Indian Lane.
Madam Mayor, move to approve an ordinance authorizing the sale of property located at 11850 Indian Lane, Hagerstown, Maryland, to 17 Mile Real Estate LLC for a purchase price of $575,000. The sale will provide opportunity for new investment at 11850 Indian Lane. The sale will be in accordance with all of the terms and conditions outlined in the attached contract of sale.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of an ordinance deed of easement and agreement with Offshore Properties LLC for 231 North Locust Street.
Madam Mayor, hereby move the introduction of an ordinance authorizing execution of a deed of an easement agreement for use of a portion of the city property at 231 North Locust Street for the purpose of constructing and maintaining an access easement on land situated on the westerly side of North Locust Street.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of an ordinance making a determination that certain property is no longer needed for a public purpose and approving the conveyance of that parcel to Hagerstown Industrial Properties LLC, a South Carolina limited liability company doing business in Maryland as JDA Hagerstown Industrial Properties LLC, a Maryland limited liability company.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for the introduction of an ordinance to transfer the property described in the attached special warranty deed to Hagerstown Industrial Properties LLC, a South Carolina limited liability company doing business in Maryland, as JDA Hagerstown Industrial Properties LLC, a Maryland limited liability company.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of a waterline easement agreement between the City of Hagerstown and Hopewell Road LLC and CE Hopewell Manor Associates LLP for the purpose of relocating a water line on land situated to the south side of Hopewell Road, Hagerstown.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution for the execution of an easement agreement between the City of Hagerstown and Hopewell Road LLC and CE Hopewell Manor Associates LLP for the purpose of relocating a water line as described in the attached resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a resolution snow services contract with Heartland Earthworks LLC.
Madam Mayor, move the mayor and council approve a resolution to authorize the execution and delivery of an agreement between the City of Hagerstown and Heartland Earthworks LLC, formerly known as Hart's Landscaping and Snow Removal LLC, for snow services as needed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a resolution reverting unimproved property to Central Chemical Corporation.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of a resolution authorizing a written declaration that 0.58 acres of unimproved property deeded to the city in 1987 will not be used as a public roadway and therefore revert to the ownership of the grantor, Central Chemical Corporation. I further authorize staff to begin the process to convey 0.63 acres of unimproved Central Avenue between the railroad and Florida Avenue to the adjoining landowners.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a resolution for stormwater incentive grant.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move to approve a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a property owner reimbursement agreement with Surrey LLC. This grant incentivizes additional stormwater management and allows the city to use 0.5 acres of credits fulfilling our MS4 permit requirement.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Taylor Bowen requests for extension of approval of water and wastewater under city's water and wastewater policy.
I hereby move for the mayor and city council to approve the request from Taylor Bowen to extend the approval from April 27, 2021 for water services for a portion of the airport business park located in the area of City Core Drive and Breeze Hill Drive, located beyond the Hagerstown medium-range growth area, for a proposed industrial warehouse. Approved water services shall be in accordance with all applicable utilities, department policies, and city code, as may be amended from time to time. This extension will expire December 27, 2023. The property is approximately 16 acres and identified on the attached map, and any additional or alternative construction on the parcel will require separate approval. Submittal of a pre-annexation agreement to the City of Hagerstown is required prior to the approval by the Utilities Department of the request for water service on the site plan. Per the requirements of the city's annexation policy and water and wastewater policy, an exemption granted pursuant to the city's water and wastewater policy is void if the following has not occurred within 14 months of the approval by the mayor and city council. 1, site plan approval by Washington County. 2, building permit filed with Washington County. And 3, all city water fees paid. And a request for a variance or extension of the 14-month time limit must be submitted for consideration by the mayor and city council at least 60 days prior to the expiration date and is subject to approval by mayor and city council.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. So, I guess, as it applies to the motion specifically, there is a small section in here that says, now I gotta find it. Where is it at? Any alternative, oh yeah, about midway down. The property is approximately 16 acres and is identified on the attached map, and any additional or alternative construction on the parcel will require separate approval. But then you go down to the conditions, and it doesn't speak to that being a condition. In other words, we have a map that shows a property that's gonna be developed as a single building, but we've also, in our discussion, had language that indicated or intimated that it might be divided up into individual parcels. So I'm just curious, I'm trying to marry the first part of this language with the second part that says, hey, you get approval based on this plan under these conditions, but then it says, if it's something else, then it's void. All I'm saying is I would think that would be in the latter part, just as it is in the former, for the motion itself.
Sounds like a legal beagle question.
In other words, if it's subdivided, you know what I mean, then are we granting, because I feel like we're granting approval for utility volume, and it's tied to a plan that shows a building that may or may not ever exist, but that isn't one of the conditions outlined in the motion itself.
I think the intent is because a rendering of 150,000 square foot building was provided, that the intent of that section of the motion is for the approval to be for the concept drawing. And if any additional construction on the site or alternative construction from that rendering, it would require separate approval. I believe that's the intent.
Right, and all I'm saying is I read that in the motion, the first part, but that isn't then made a condition of the conditions outlined in the latter part of the motion. It should be like a number 4 or whatever.
I'd add to what Jill provided. The conditions in here, 1, 2, and 3 are specific, are the conditions that are specifically identified in the water and wastewater policy. So Doug was, when he put this together, was specifically identifying those 3 conditions that were in the policy. The condition that's above is, or the situation above is actually up and above our what is required in the policy. So I think really that was part of his intent as well, is to identify those conditions specifically that are in the policy, in addition to what he mentioned above.
And if you desire us to improve the motion prior to voting, that is something that we could do and bring it back at another meeting.
So is this a site plan that's been submitted to Washington County?
It's not a site plan, it is a concept
Right,
rendering.
it's just a rendering.
Right.
And all I'm saying is we're referring to site plans, but there's no site plan attached to this document. This is just a rendering that
Correct.
some builder said, I might build this on this piece of property. It doesn't seem like the motion clearly identifies that.
We,
It's not a big deal. I mean, I'm opposed anyway, but it's just, it isn't how I would word the motion.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
And, okay. Is any further discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
no.
Motion carries 4-1. Approval of an agreement, refused collection agreement for Summerland Manor.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for the approval of the refused collection agreement with the Summerland Manor Condo Association for the Summerland Manor development. This agreement allows the city's solid waste collection contractor to access the private streets and courts of the development.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of inventory procurement funds.
Madam Mayor, hereby move for the approval of the Light Division inventory procurement funds not to exceed an accumulated value of $1.212 million through June 30th, 2023, following the process described in the attached memorandum.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of after-school program at the Parkside Community Center.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval for funding of the after-school program at Parkside Community Center. The Hagerstown Housing Authority provides a variety of constructive after-school programs to area youth. This program runs for the 22 through 2023 school year at the cost of $22,381. This amount includes reallotment of $3,500 from the dance program that is being discontinued.
Second. Second by Tiara. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of Government Relations Engagement Agreement with Compass GR Partners.
Madam Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and council approval of a government relations engagement agreement with Compass GR Partners. As stated in the scope of work, Compass Government Relations Partners LLC will represent the city of Hagerstown to obtain capital funding for an indoor sports facility as well as other matters agreed to between the parties. The term of the agreement is through April 30th, 2023, with fees of $40,000. There is sufficient funding in the general fund legal counsel's FY23 operating budget and transfer of $20,000 from general fund budget contingency accounts to cover these costs.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appalachian Regional Commission fiscal year project funding, fiscal year 23.
Madam Mayor, move the mayor and council authorize the submission of a full application for the following projects to the Appalachian Regional Commission for fiscal year 2023 grant funding. The ARC grant requires 50% match. Number 1, upgrade Hagerstown wastewater pump station 13 on Western Maryland Parkway, requesting $530,000 in ARC funds. Number 2, reduce inflow and infiltration of groundwater into Hagerstown wastewater treatment plant, requesting $250,000 in ARC funds.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. City Administrator.
Just one thing, Mayor. The Alsatia Club will be holding their annual Classic Car Show, Thunder in the Square, in downtown on Friday night, the 30th. Program is from 5 to 9. It will be up West Washington Street and a little bit up North Potomac Street. Looking forward to that, coming back downtown on Friday night, and should be a nice nice time with a lot of good-looking cars out there. So that's it for me.
Councilmember Alshire?
I have nothing to say.
Councilmember Brucci?
Two things. First off, Mike being in here from Mike's Truck and Van down on East Franklin Street, he definitely has a real concern. I've, over the years, have taken numerous vehicles to his shop to get different kinds of work done, and you know, he's right. Pulling in up here doesn't work, especially for big trucks. So I'm sure we can figure out something to make it work. Secondly, I apologize that Mr. Wills came in and had a conversation about something that was said online. And in my reasoning, I guess what caused his ire, that I asked which agency should we now blame, was because the woman had a bench warrant for failure to appear. She was picked up by the sheriff's department. HPD just happened to be there at the same time. And as he explained that the young man was a woman's son, and that was pointed out in this thread that was not true. It wasn't the woman's son. But, you know, I get it. And maybe there are times when, you know, we should look beyond, you know, the ABCs of policing and do some of those things. I know we do that, Chief. One of those times, I guess, it just maybe fell through the cracks. But, you know, Harold and I have a long history. What can I tell you? I'm never going to make him happy, so it really doesn't matter. And just joking about the 2024, by the way.
I'm apparently not going to make him happy now
I
either.
don't think he likes you very much.
No, you are just right below me now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, again, apologize for people having to sit through that, so.
Thank you. Councilmember Burnett? Councilmember Martinez?
I just want to shout out Mr. Richard Davis that's out there, and Ms. Annette Conyers for bringing him. Mr. Davis said he hasn't been here in a couple of years, and I know he's over 90 years old. He was a Spanish teacher, and so just thank you, Deacon Davis, for being here during this session. That's it.
I just wanted to thank you, Madam Mayor. Today's Washington Goes Purple event with Tony Hoffman. The business community was at the Maryland Theater today, and, you know, several of us were there. and it was absolutely incredible. And I've heard him speak before, and I really think that it hit home with a lot of individuals. I mean, even I received, thank you for inviting me to this thing, because it was so impactful and really gives you a glimpse into the fact that we are all very similar. We're all alike. And I think that I congratulate you on a very well-attended forum, and I know that, I think that a lot of questions were answered as an employer myself and in the business community. So congratulations, as this is the last council meeting of the Washington Good People Month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's Recovery Month, and it's been a really good month. And I just want to talk about Saturday. And Takesha and I spent some time together. Saturday was a really cool day in this town. We had a We Do Recover softball tournament, and it was teams of individuals in recovery playing first responders and playing each other as well. It was a 2-day tournament, and it was really, really cool. Also, they had a food truck there that has probably the best sausage gravy I've ever had in my life. It was so good. But it was really cool. I think the Washington County Sheriff's Department had a team. There were a lot of firefighters, and it was just a really good environment. And Carly Monahan, I believe she is Lieutenant Monahan now. She spoke, that's her maiden name, Carly Hose, yes, Carly Hose spoke beforehand, just from a first responder perspective, saying how important events like that are, because a lot of times the police interactions with people who are using substances are not always positive. And so then they got to put all that away and just be humans and play ball, and it was a really good day. And at the same time, happening at City Park, Rosk had a recovery picnic, and there were probably 100 people there, and it was free food, cornhole, all types of stuff, and it was just a really positive, incredible event. It was, anyone could come, so you had people who had one day sober, and then there were people who had 26 years, and they all got to share their stories and talk. And then after that, Takesha and I went to Mountaineer. Their rehab had a recovery picnic in Martinsburg. And there was probably 100 people there too, and we got to speak. And so it was a whole day of just people saying, hey, we really do recover. And I think we look at substance use as such we see the bad side of it all the time. And that's what we fixate on, and we forget that so many people recover, and that it's possible. So it was a really positive, uplifting day. And then today, I thank everyone that came out to the luncheon. It was definitely eye-opening even to me, and I'm someone who's involved in this world all the time, but the perspectives that he put out were heart-wrenching and also just incredibly on point. And I think it's important for our business community to also see the other side of someone who's been the person that we complain about. He's been in the position that we get the emails about, and why is this person like this, and why are they leaving needles, and why are they doing this? And now he's incredibly successful, coached in the Olympics, and is touching and saving lives. So it was a really cool day. So thank you for everyone who participated in the multitude of events over September, and we're going to keep it going. So with that, everyone have a great night, and we'll see you at Thunder on the Square. I hope I don't get hate mail again for judging my favorite car, but fair disclosure, I know nothing about cars, so if I don't pick yours, it's not personal. I'm just going to go with what I like. So see you guys there.
Whatever looks
We're
cool.
adjourned.
Yeah.
It's the prettiest.